What's good, yeah, and welcome to another vid. So earlier today, around 4 hours before reset, we had our big end of August update, and there's a lot in there. So let's actually speedrun this to give you an idea of what has actually changed with this update today. So let's go straight into it. First off, we have another Tallulah change, which hopefully should allow Tallulah to now properly select units with basic attacks, hopefully already fixed her ult. Tallulah's always been kind of a mess, you could say, but now with her exclusive equipment and also artifacts, she should be better than ever. Then we have Diao Chen with the skill casting logic, pretty irrelevant. This whole Ingrid section, nothing changed. It's just a rewording that explains how Ingrid's abilities work, but nothing actually changed. Now you can actually apply more damage with Lynx's ult, so it was kind of weird that it didn't work before. Nerissa's A4 is now better than ever. Try getting 5 Nerissas anyway. Elder's rework, simply explained, is he lost HP, so he was a chunky single target fighter, and now he's a AoE fighter that is not as chunky anymore. So he lost HP increasing values, he does now scale his shields better with attack, he does AoE damage, but to be fair, I haven't really been able to find like a proper use for Elder anyway. It kind of feels a bit half-assed, and yeah, whatever, right? Eris on the other hand is stronger than ever. Not only is he far cheaper, inflicted permanent 10% vulnerability with basically just his Mighty Thrust, and also his A1, A3 and A5 all became better. He's just now really good. Ryger on the other hand, Ryger is interesting. We'll dive deeper on how good Ryger actually is after in like the next video or in a couple, and that is because now Ryger also does even more damage with the defense penetration from the Scorned Ravenous, Brute Strength, and also he should now have a more stable damage output. But importantly enough, he did also get a change where he got like a massive amount of max HP, and this whole rework that's from like a month ago, but nobody really looked at him anyway. So yeah, Ryger might very well be better than Torador. Remains to be seen, right? Like clearly better, right? So for the trial keystones, the most important part is if you get a level 1 or level 2 keystone, you can now use it to auto-fight. The question is, will auto-fight actually make it happen? Debatable, but if you have a good enough team, obviously the auto-fight can work. Now this is important, or not important, it depends. Like you can only play, I think it was 100 or 200 keystones a month anyway, and here you now have the ability to destroy keystones, which means you can destroy your level 1s, your level 2s, and just stack on level 3s, level 4s. But yeah, outside of that, the way Keystone Energy now works is you basically have, I think it's 2 entries, pretty much. You have 2 extra lives to like try a keystone, so you can go try a keystone. If you fail, you can go back in and you do it again. Otherwise, there's obviously no way to stop yourself from failing a keystone. Then you have the chest settlement animation, which you can ignore. Hero display, you can ignore. The sources for try keystones, now that is a little important because now in AMR, Gear Dungeons and the Dungeon Shop, you can at least get them. So more keystone sources, meaning you also need the destruction feature even more if you don't want to run out of space, because who really has the time to play all those many keystones anyway? Then we have the, yeah, a random keystone reward, right? You get a keystone from the weeklies, which is quite nice. And let's see. So yeah, try keystone chests, right? Try keystone chests are also now introduced, so you can save up even more keystones in your storage. But it does feel like at some point you have more keystones than you could ever reasonably complete. But 90-second stage countdown after the final wave, and trial settlement will begin when the countdown ends. Sure, might as well, right? Now this is interesting, so I'm not really sure if there ever was a character like this, but now you have a longer window during which the damage increase effect is active. So the one where you land a critical with a basic attack and then you increase your damage by plus 10% for 5 seconds. So it is now clear, or it always has been, that Sorbonne Arcana isn't the best set in the game anymore. If you want to do the most damage, run Cataclysm instead, and you can then combine Cataclysm with faction rings, with exclusive pieces and the like. But yeah, Sorbonne Arcana no longer the strongest artifact. It hasn't been in like 4 or 5 months, and this should, I guess, help make it a bit more clear. Though to be fair, the damage difference isn't as crazy as you would think from a set better than Sorbonne Arcana. So the way this works is the runic augmentation rules for artifacts, meaning if you go to your artifact and you roll attack percent, you can now roll attack percent again at a higher or lower value. So overall it's easier to get the same stat higher, but also it's like an additional factor again going into the RNG. Alright, yeah, Guild War, obviously they introduced like the Guild War seasons and such, but the changes here really aren't anything that truly affects you for the most part. We have the auto-fight gear record system, so you now don't have to play APOC 1 or APOC 2 every time anymore and like make sure everybody's geared because the gear will be saved. Took a while, it's finally here, it makes your life easier, that's pretty good. The performance aspect in Titanic Ruins, if you notice performance drops, might be better now. Reward distribution for both Titanic Ruins and the Guild Boss, just making sure that you can get your rewards even if your guild disbands mid Drake's Chasm and Titanic Ruins. Good enough. And then here, this is important. After this update, changing the gear dungeons will no longer consume stamina. So it has always been a bit of a weird one with the gear dungeons. Like the gear dungeons in the beginning were really good, and investing your 3000 stamina there was really nice. It was something you wanted to do, and it was something that gave you good loot. Then the gear dungeons kind of stayed stagnant, and the loot everywhere else got better, and then gear dungeons kind of got left behind in the field. A bit of a waste to use the stamina. Now you don't need to use stamina. Now you only use keys. Pretty decent. Pretty decent. Now, United Front is the dual co-op mode that you play online, and this time you'll actually fight bosses as well as enemies instead of just enemies. And Tide, yeah, Tide now goes up to wave 200, and if you can actually beat the Tide wave challenges, you can earn up to 2 init soulstones, which is quite nice, meaning your init can now naturally go up to A3. The 6 new trials of the Nightmare stages have been added to the faction trials. And I mean, as you'll notice, these faction trials do only happen in 4 days, but you can stay rest assured I'll be covering those the day they come out, hopefully trying to find another way, the same way we've beaten the Watchers and the Nightmare faction trials. But let's get back to the good stuff and show you what else has changed. So these diamond rewards for hero skins, if you have a bunch of skins, it's like a minuscule amount of diamonds, but if you care about like certain lore bits, they've added like some extra lore to the skins. Wasn't there before, is there now? It is what it is. So you can now buy more auto fight chances, and you can also buy gear recasting hammers and demon chests with the in the Awakening shop. So more for your hero coins, especially for those of us who have like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these coins. More things are always great. This is actually quite fantastic. Increase the purchase limit for hero storage, just giving every one of us 200 more hero storage. Very nice, everybody liked that. It's been time, right? Otherwise you always only have like 10, 15 spots open, and you have to use like that summoning bag way too much, and it just gets annoying. So that is pretty good. Then you have a bunch of achievements, like for example beating a Crystal 3 of Legendary Rarity or Rarer, beating a Crystal 4 of Legendary Rarer or Legendary or Rarer, obtaining a certain amount of stars in the campaign, launching successful attacks in Guild Wars, and then also Dripmaster hero skins, Demon Soldiers, Relentless One, whatever. So at least now also the dungeon shop sells mystery demon chests, relevant for the GVG people, irrelevant for everybody else. Friendly Face-Off can now save auto fight data to the same arena mode. But now this is actually quite nice. When you have your auto and then you want to refine your auto against other players, you would have to play it from the ground up. Now you can take over the auto, do some changes, and then save the auto after. I was always wondering why that wasn't a thing, so at least it's good that that is now here. Then the win-loss display in Honor's Gauntlet, minor. The, let's see, attack charge, change display in the Awakening of Heroes interface, good. Silver Envoy Moradin with still replay default skin effects is enough. And then, yeah. So highlights are Soulstones, more tight, better ways to get keystones, less stamina. Raiga, minor buff combined with his buff already from before. Eris, big buff, nerf buff for Mr. Elder. And obviously, I guess, the buff to the Cataclysm artifact. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And overall, I think it's a good update. It's a bit of a hidden one. It kind of came out of nowhere, kind of went nowhere. It's just there now. And yeah, it's for us to enjoy. And as always, we see each other in the next one. Peace.